Conservative MP Michael Maw crosses the floor. Another Conservative defection puts Liberals on the brink of a majority. In a rare and consequential move, Toronto area MP Michael Maw has crossed the floor from the Conservatives to join Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberal Party. Maw said the decision reflects alignment with Carney's priorities on affordability, economic growth, community safety, and opportunities for young Canadians. His defection brings the Liberals to 171 seats in the 343-seat House of Commons, just one short of a majority, significantly strengthening the government's position in reshaping parliamentary dynamics. It also delivers a setback to Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre ahead of a scheduled leadership review. Maw had narrowly won Markham Unionville for the Conservatives in the 2025 election and had publicly opposed the Liberal budget only days earlier, making the move especially surprising. With the Liberals now near majority status, Carney can advance legislation with far less reliance on opposition parties. The timing has sparked broader debate about political loyalty, strategic power shifts, and concerns over foreign interference, though no evidence has yet confirmed outside involvement. So, should MPs face consequences for crossing the floor after an election?
I don't think they should be allowed to. So, like, you represent a party and you were voted in by that party. So, ultimately, people aren't voting for you. They are in a sense, but they're voting for the party and the policy behind that party, especially at the federal level. So for me, I don't even think it should be an option. I think if you want to cross the floor, you should have to call an election. Be like, hey, I'm stepping down, or I want to run for this other party, and that's fine. And you guys can figure how that shakes out. But there should be a conservative representative that gets to try to take that position again, because this is like, think democracy. Majority rules. This is not what people voted for. And then, you kind of made that list, which I thought was sort of funny. He goes, I want to switch sides because of Carney's priorities on affordability, economic growth, community safety, and opportunities for young Canadians. These are all a complete disaster at this point. None of those things are going well. So I can't even imagine for a second that makes any sense whatsoever. I'm of the mind. So I did a little bit of digging on this. And again, this is somewhat, this is all theoretical. So just take it with a grain of salt. So this particular Markham riding, Sam Cooper's done a reasonable amount of work on it, and it is one that has been hijacked by the CCP several times. We know that for sure. It was narrowly won. So you got to think to yourself, how did he actually win if it's already a CCP-held riding? Because effectively that's what it is. And they're not loosening the noose in their areas. If anything, they're strengthening, and their diaspora groups are getting stronger. So I have to believe that he was influenced in some way, shape, or form by the CCP before even getting in. Even though he's conservative, I'm fine. It is what it is. I think it's happening on all sides. But I think at this point, he was pushed into this direction to cross the floor because he was standing up against all the liberal ideas and ideals over the last week, even the budget. The Liberals are not doing a great job so far. Carney is you could make the argument he's moving the needle in the right direction, but so far it's been all talk, no action, all sizzle, no steak. So you're not jumping ship because the guy's doing such a great job right now. That's not really what's happening. And then he also met with, and this is something that Michelle Ferreri released just the other day, he was meeting with someone that was connected to the CCP like days before this happened.
Michael Maw was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm of the mind this was completely influenced. Again, this is my opinion. I don't know for sure. But yeah, back to your question. I don't think this should be an option. I do not think you should be able to cross the floor because, again, you get one more now and you've got a Liberal majority. And now you've got this issue where it's not just what happened in one riding. Now we're talking about the entire nation. And there are apparently rumblings, and you never know how much truth there is to this, that there are other conservative MPs that are thinking of crossing the floor. And if one more does it, now the entire country is a Liberal majority. And we all know that the Senate is stacked with 90% of senators that were put in place during the Trudeau regime. So what do you have? You have basically a Liberal bulldozer at that point. So for me, I just don't think you should be able to do it.
Yeah, well, even to strengthen that point as well, you look at what happened to Joe Tay during the election, and he was running in Don Valley North. Now, he didn't win his riding, but that's just two riding, like, essentially zonings over from Markham Unionville. So the idea that, like, geographically they're pretty much side by side. Mm-hmm. And you see, for instance, with Joe Tay, where the CCP was following him and his team to the houses that they were canvassing and door knocking them afterwards and essentially intimidating the people that he was talking to. Then also that massive scandal with, I forget the guy's name that dropped out, but anyways, he was talking with the Chinese foreign press in Canada about the bounty on Joe Tay's head and saying, yeah, just, bring Joe Tay to the consulate and you can collect a reward. And so essentially, talking about kidnapping him. And these kind of things were happening in the election. And so you see this kind of stuff. It doesn't, of course, you don't have hardcore evidence yet to point to this in Markham Unionville and this floor crossing. But there is enough here, and there is enough, whether it's the 2021 election, the 2019 election, the 2015 election, there's enough incongruencies that it at least should raise eyebrows, and we should be looking into this sort of stuff. But I mean, we don't. We've seen that with the Hogue Commission in the past where, we looked, yep, there was foreign interference, but it's not bad enough for it to do anything. And you go, are you sure?
So the guy that stepped down was Paul Chiang.
That's it.
And then Peter Yuen was the guy who took his place, the Toronto Police Deputy Chief, who was also connected to the CCP and was celebrating CCP parades over in China, just really having at it. So.
He was singing it's not the Chinese national anthem, but it is a song all about your allegiance to the Chinese homeland, and he was singing that in his police uniform, Canadian police uniform. The guy that replaced Paul Chiang. And so, you just look at these areas, and whether it's, and two, back to Sam Cooper's work, Markham and Vancouver are like the hubs for these money laundering schemes in Canada, which again, aren't fringe. The higher estimates of the Canadian government for money laundering in Canada is like $113 billion. So there's a lot going on.
You know what's crazy?
What?
I just found this out right now. Paul Chiang and Peter Yuen were running in Markham Unionville. So they lost to Michael Ma.
Right.
So they just had them surrounded. Mm-hmm. They had both candidates were CCP connected for sure. Mm-hmm. And they must just go, oh, wait a minute. I need you to cross the floor. It'll make it more advantageous for us. Here's why. I bet they're trying to get away with not pulling an election. That's wild.
Well, and that does go to what we were talking about earlier. I don't get how people can cross the floor and it doesn't trigger a by-election, or, you should say, okay, now I'm going to go run as a Liberal candidate and the Conservative Party can put somebody up against me if the constituents want to vote for me as a Liberal. That's great. But to your point about people voting for the party, it's pretty obvious because no matter where you go, whether it's in the city, whether it's, in a more rural area, if you go ask the average person, who did you vote for? They're going to say Conservatives or Liberals. Most of them probably can't even remember their MP's name.
They're going to say Mark Carney or Pierre Poilievre. Right. It's going to be about as deep as they're going to go.
Right.
100%.
And so the fact that people can just go in, and I mean, there was the defector from the Conservative Party a couple weeks ago as well, but the fact that they can just switch and nothing comes of that is pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, for me, it's a broken system. It's a loophole in the system that shouldn't exist.
I agree.